speaking of train wrecks, why don't we get into the Jay-Z of it all, right? Were you guys surprised when you found out that his charges, the Jane Doe case, got dismissed? I'm not. I always said that it just was not adding up. We were trying to give grace, but some of the plot holes were a little bit too big to be just like innocent, like misrememberments, if that's a word, right? It seemed kind of weird and forced from the beginning. And now it turns out, now that we've got this case dismissed, that might have been the name of the game. Someone tried to, or potentially, tried to grift off of the seriousness of the P. Diddy scandal by filing a false lawsuit with the 1-800 lawyer, Tony Buzzbee. And it appears as though Tony Buzzbee, so excited to boost his profile from the Diddy scandal, did not do his due diligence in vetting his client before taking her on and filing that lawsuit against Jay-Z. That lawsuit was so catastrophic for Jay-Z's image. So many people were rejoicing, right? Because there's been kind of like a witch hunt ever since the Diddy of it all was announced, right? Who's next? Who are the victims? Who are the other celebrities? All sorts of things, right? Especially as lawsuits come out, which I understand, right? Like the grand indictment, they talked about like celebrity 1, celebrity 2, blah, blah, blah. So we already know one of the witnesses is Cassie, but they have also alluded to incidents with J-Lo, et cetera, right? So it is natural curiosity to wonder who the other celebrities in the indictment are, right? But the fact that someone decided to go ahead, make up a story, implicated another celebrity who is Jay-Z in it, and a lawyer took on that case without properly vetting it is really disturbing. I hate the circus that this case has become. I really, truly hope that these bogus lawsuits do not cause for the case to be disrupted or disturbed. I know that it's a different, court of law, right? There's civil law and there's criminal law, and that Diddy is being tried in both. But I just hate what this is doing, right? Because this is starting to plant a lot of doubt for a lot of people who want to believe that he's completely innocent, right? Because this is like the second or third lawsuit that has now been dismissed as illegitimate. And so when you've got more and more and more lawsuits involving Diddy, particularly being dismissed as illegitimate, what are people going to start thinking? That everybody is making everything up. And I do not like that, I really, really, truly don't. And it starts to call the validity and like the trustworthiness of the grand jury witnesses into question as well. And that is the last thing that we want or need, right? For his part, Jay-Z is going to be suing this lawyer, which is surprising to me because I could have sworn there was a morning report that we did about 1 month ago, about 2 weeks to a month ago. Do y'all remember this? When we talked about how Jay-Z dropped a complaint that he had filed against Tony Buzzbee. And I said, that is really weird. Why would he do that? Is he in trouble or something? Are they trying to work out a deal? And the word on the street had been that there was going to be some bad news coming out for Jay-Z. So now to find out that no, it's great news for Jay-Z. And although he dropped the thing that he had filed initially, which I believe was for Tony's kind of like professionalism to be called into question and everything like that, he's still suing him personally for the damage that he caused, right? I hated how much people were celebrating the idea that this could have happened to a minor. And I hate the fact that people were trying to bring Beyonce into this. There's something about Beyonce, and it's like this with so many famous women. If you watch the Martha Stewart documentary, you saw it happen to her. If you are alive right now, which I hope you are in the chat box or in the replay, my playback posse, but you see it all the time with famous women, like where they will just be hated and ripped to shreds, right? For seemingly no reason. right? We saw that with, or maybe being too perfect, or being too beautiful, too successful, too hot, too everything, right? You don't really see this level of vitriol directed towards men. And the fact that some people are so vitriolic about Beyonce, who has never done anything to anybody, that they were taking this potential tragedy as an opportunity to drag her, right, was insane. And I wonder how they feel now that it failed. Anyway, let's get into Jay-Z's lawsuit against Tony Buzzbee. Okay. So People Magazine is reporting on this. And so the lawsuit was initially filed in October of 2024. We did talk about this in this is about the Jane Doe, right? So she filed this lawsuit in October of 2024. She claimed that Diddy and Jay-Z did something to her at the MTV Video Music Awards. And now Jay-Z is now filing his own lawsuit as of February 10th, where he's claiming that Tony Buzzbee intentionally inflicted emotional distress by strategically filing that lawsuit just before his daughter Blue Ivy's Mufasa the Lion King movie premiere. He argued that the timing forced him to choose between supporting his daughter or avoiding negative media attention. And it was a huge deal when he walked the red carpet. People said, wow, how could you walk the red carpet for a children's movie and you're being accused of having done something horrific, unspeakable to a child? It was huge, you know, but he wanted to be there for his daughter. This was going to be her first major red carpet project debut. And so he chose, because he had always maintained his innocence, to go ahead and walk that carpet anyway, right? But there was still just this energy in the air. Even at the Grammys, there was this energy in the air. He couldn't even go on stage with B or at all. Meanwhile, the last year's Grammy, he's the one who said, listen, Academy, the Recording Academy, you better make the right moves, right choices moving forward. We're sick and tired of you awarding the same mediocre artists, right? Some of y'all don't deserve to be in the category. And it was true. Like, sometimes these awards are ridiculous who they go to, right? And now this year, Beyonce groundbreakingly wins Best Country Album and Album of the Year, and he never once goes up, but their daughter goes up. He missed out on these massive moments because of Tony Buzzbee and because of this Jane Doe. So I see why he is continuing on with this lawsuit. And he also says that the lawsuit led to a $20 million loss in contracts and caused him significant mental anguish. Quote, I felt that Mr. Buzzbee was placing a gun to my head, that I either bow to his demands or endure personal and financial ruin. It really, really sucks that people take advantage. There are always going to be these kinds of people, you guys, even here in Paris. Do you all remember the terrorist attacks here in Paris in November of 2015, I want to say? What happened? All sorts of people were victimized, right? People passed away, people were disfigured, all sorts of things. People were mentally traumatized. And then here come the damn rats out of the sewers to come and pretend that they too were affected by this, because they're not well in the head, right? So it feels like this is another case of that. Not just this Jane Doe lawsuit, but like some of these other lawsuits that have also met a similar fate as well, that have fallen apart under scrutiny. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and read some of you guys' comments. Sorry, I went off on a big tangent there, but now I'm ready to catch up and see what some of you guys had to say about the situation, okay? Houston says, very odd. How does the father just not recall picking up his daughter up from a 5-hour drive? Exactly. And his daughter was supposed to be 13 at the time. Come on now. That would be a major moment you would never forget. Zoe thinks he settled out of court. I don't know. I don't think so personally. I think that lawsuit was bogus from the very beginning. It never passed the sniff test. Buxby just ruined it for other victims to come forward. Listen, a lot of grifters do not care. You know, shame be damned, right? They will still come on over and file their lawsuits. Tanisha says, I feel like Jane Doe's story fell apart when she said her dad drove 5 hours from Rochester to New York City, but he couldn't recall it. Exactly. You guys, a mess. But I'm seeing that some of you guys still believe that it was settled. And I feel like that is the problem with these sorts of things. When they bring up these kinds of lawsuits, and they're shaky or whatever, it permanently damages a person's reputation, you know? And then there are people who will accept that the lawsuit was bogus, but they go, okay, well, the fact that someone would even file this lawsuit means that he had to have done something. So let's just wait for, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. This has been really, really, really ugly to see, to be honest. And I hate that this might have some implications for the criminal case. Ali says people rejoicing about it are wild to me because essentially you're hoping that he SA'd somebody, which is gross. I 1000% agree. Milan says he didn't settle. Jay-Z's suing Buxby for $100 million. Exactly. If they settled, then Jay-Z would not be suing because all Buzzbee would have to do is bring up the fact that he settled. Why would you be suing me over filing a bogus lawsuit if you settled? It wouldn't make sense. Boss Lady says, Grace, it won't be dismissed because Diddy has other criminal charges. Thank God. But I really hope that there aren't other, grifters who have found their way into the witness list or whatever to mess this up. This is our one and only chance to get the diddler. And I need it to go off without a hitch. Hey, Jaleesa, nice to see you. Good morning. Ronnie says, I hope it doesn't cause an issue for Diddy's case. Exactly. Same way. Hey, AJ, nice to see you. Theo, clap if you have a pulse. AJ says, Will Smith smacked Chris and Jada was blamed. Exactly. The woman always gets blamed. And in that vein, AJ, thank you so much for bringing that up, because not only was Jada Pinkett Smith blamed for Will Smith choosing as a grown man to slap Chris Rock, but Chris Rock went and did like a clapback special filmed in Jada's hometown, not Will Smith's hometown, in Jada's. It's always the woman that is the target of the public's ire, and I do not understand. And people were like, yeah, you showed her. Get out of here.